She's the one that is very much like, what's going on? Why is this going on? Why am I not invited to the party? Who just entered my house? This is my house, and I live here. Right, Ronnie?
She's Miss Independent. She walks like a boss, talks like a boss.
Yes.
All right, guys, the party has officially started. We
Woo!
are live. We got the cats
Yeah.
here. We're rolling in Rioja. That's last minute. I decided to come up with this is the theme, rolling in Rioja. So I'm excited to have you all here. Cha McCoy, this is episode 18, Philippe. Can you believe it?
Yes.
And we did Spanish wines in episode 2. So we got some of our alum, I'm gonna call you, they're back with us to talk more specifically about Rioja. But I'm your host, Cha McCoy, certified sommelier from New York City. I'm gonna say, yes, I still live in Portugal regardless of COVID, okay? So I have things there, so in my case, you can find me in both cities, Lisbon and New York. And yeah, I'm excited to be here with this elite group. And of course, my trusty co-host, Philippe.
Hi, everybody. My name is Philip. I'm calling you from a small town called Agda in the wine region of Bairrada in Portugal. So I work as a business consultant. I also run a blog called Vinho. And I'm really very, very excited to be here today on this tasting. As Cha mentioned, this is the 18th session of United We Taste. And you don't know, but I knew Cha because of Rioja, because we were both taking an online course on the Rioja Wine Academy. And then we start talking on the social media. And then we came with this idea to gather all these wine professionals along 18 sessions. So really excited today for this Rioja tasting.
All right, that puts a lot of pressure on us, Philippe, because now we're like these Rioja scholars, okay? So thank you for making me I'm like, okay, now at least the pressure's on you. I'm gonna put it on you.
Zoltan.
That's on Zoltan. All right, Jermaine.
Yes. How are you?
Good, thanks. Our schedules finally aligned. I was going to have you on another session, but you was like, I'm in there, child. I could be here for this one. You and Kilolo, so I'm excited to have you.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, this is long overdue. This is long overdue, and I wanted to chop it up with you in front of the people for a long time. So I'm just happy to be here right now.
Love it. Kilolo. Hey, girlfriend.
I'm really happy to see all these faces. Ariana, Cha, Jermaine, Zoltan. We've not officially met, and Philippe, I'm meeting you for the first time too. So this is very exciting. I feel like I walk into a party that I know is going to be dope because of the topic, and there are people I know that I know in the room, but then there's some people I'm like, this is gonna be fun. Y'all invited too, so I'm very excited. And I am in retail in New York City. I work for Fresh Direct Wine and Spirits, and I'm the assistant manager there. But I've also managed a Spanish portfolio of wine, assistant managed for about a year. And I've been to Spain, and I've tasted my share of Rioja. So I was really excited about this topic, and I'm ready. I'm ready to chop. Like Jermaine said, chop it up with y'all, and I'm gonna.
Yes, right.
With that,
we're gonna keep it all the way in New York here.
Ooh, keeping it that real.
You know where I'm from.
You know where I'm from. Representing all over.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that you was in Spain because I did visit Rioja, and it was nice that I did the IG live with my good friend Chef Chiquet, and we just talked about us running around looking nervous and scared as the two Black folks running around Rioja. We like they're going like, what y'all doing here again? So it was just cool because it was all love when I was there. But Ariana.
Hey everyone. Good to be back. Actually, that second United We Taste was the first virtual event I did during lockdown, and it feels like maybe 6 weeks ago. But thank you so much for inviting me back. Basically, whenever Cha calls for anything, I don't even read it. I'm just like, yep, yes, I want to chop it up. I want to roll in Rioja or whatever we're rolling. I worked for many years as a retail buyer and specifically a Spanish wine buyer, and so I have big love for the Rioja category. I think it's more complicated than meets the eye in the market sometimes. Now, since 2018, I've had my own import company specializing more in like emerging regions of Spain, like less the big names. So it's really great to get back on this topic, especially with all of you. And I'm looking forward to it.
And of course, we had to call back the Zoltan. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
He said, yeah. Well, it's
Very
no
good
way.
job.
After, like, Zoltan, all the comments that I got from the episodes that you've been on, and we talked about Spain early on, you done showed your glorious view. Everybody's like, well, how is the party literally there? Like, can we just go there? And so, of course, I was like, well, Philippe, how do we get Zoltan back for Rioja until we just can't get Zoltan no more? Like, we know you got tons of things going on in Spain during this virtual world. So I was like, if we can at least get him back, I'll be very appreciative. So happy to have you back as well. And just tell the people what you do, tell them where you at. We got Ariana representing New York as well, but of course she spends probably equal amount of time in Spain. So it was great to have her as well on this one.
Great to be here back again. Thank you, Cha, for inviting Felipe and everybody to see you, even if it's virtually. At that second United We Taste, I was there, it's true. The same talking about Rioja. I remember my wine was Rioja. By the way, Cha, I love your shirt. Women President, it's wow, incredible. I love it. And I hope one day we can see that, no? And I hope very soon. Happy to be here, happy to share with you again wine, even if it's virtual. I think wine is, as I told you, always the best social media, no? Bring us together. We are here united, and I'm very happy. I am a Rioja educator too, the same as you. I'm living in Barcelona City 10 years ago. I'm Zoltan, as you mentioned. I'm 31 and I'm alcoholic. Oh, sorry, that was yesterday. So I'm a wine writer here in Spain for different magazines. I'm publishing books. Now in December, second book coming out. First one I will talk about a little bit later because I have a wine today from a wine queen, one of the special characters of my book, from Rioja, of course. And living in Barcelona, as you said, so many things going on. But in the wine industry, as you know, so many things are here happening. Not now, of course, all of this before COVID. So now most of the things are online. I'm helping people online to do different, important activities, helping social media, helping big companies or wineries to get finally to the final customer, which is the most important thing, helping them to sell. And before I was working in 2 Michelin star restaurants and, doing all kinds of things between the wine industry, wine tourism, managing a food lover company. So it was a lot of fun. But I think today representing Rioja, which it's a unique land, I guess everybody knows, maybe one of the most important from Spain, worldwide known, and it's very, very happy to be here.
Yes, thanks happy to have you. Happy to have everyone here and the wealth of knowledge they're going to bring to this program and discussion. And I'm glad you touched on something where before I get so used to the fact that, hey, everybody knows what we do here. But United We Taste was formed with the idea of literally how do we taste, like Philippe mentioned, with our fellow professionals. When I'm working as a sommelier in Portugal, which is what I was doing right before COVID, literally you taste with your team. Some of them are the ones that come with the unusual Blanc de Noirs and trying to get you, and then there's always one, right? And then there's people who come with more traditional, unique ones that you just kind of like learn from, and you get to like share this camaraderie of other somms, other wine professionals, whether it's the importer, distributor, or in case if the winemaker is traveling, the winemaker, him or herself, that you get to like just taste with. And I realized that's a very important part of the wine journey, especially for me. And I didn't know how I could be able to still keep up my studies while during lockdown. And so collaborating, or at least talking with Philippe and starting with Rioja was very unique, because we were both literally studying Rioja, but at the same time, we knew that we can learn. We had people like Zoltan that was also at home because it was quarantine. So let's share the knowledge with each other. Let Zoltan come in and talk to us. Let's go talk about what we know, with Philippe and I both living in Portugal, to other people. And so there was this exchange of like, how do we taste, not for consumers' knowledge, but how do we taste with our own wine community? And so at this point, we've had people join the group tasting from China, from Psalms in Australia, all the way across the world. So it's been a privilege to be able to host everyone. And thanks for those who watch the videos live with us, or who return and play them on our YouTube page. So with all that being said, the main thing here, because we're going to jump and start with the tasting right away, is that Rioja is known for its aging ability, right? And I think that's a character that, especially when you're talking about aging ability for quality and for price, Rioja has like the ting, ting, ting. Like if someone wants to age something and check all those boxes, I would normally take them straight to a Rioja. And so we're going to get into that as we talk about the wines. And again, so let me just tell everyone, no one knows all the wines but me. So this is kind of like going back to the original style of what we do here. So it's not going to be a blind tasting. We all know we have red, we all have Tempranillo based because it's from Rioja, but just the idea is probably 100% Rioja more than anything. So let's kick things off with Zoltan. Let's go ahead and start talking about your wine, go through your tasting, and any history you want to give about the winery without telling us what level the actual style is. That would be great.
Great, wonderful. I am very sure, like all the people is watching us and will see this video online, I'm sure they know in Rioja is 3 zones, right? And the appellation, which is a DOC, it's a qualified region, was the first one in Spain, and is located in northern Spain, okay, on the both sides of the river Ebro, which gives a very special character to the wines up there. And the region is divided by these 3 large zones: Rioja Alta, Rioja Alavesa, and Rioja Oriental, okay? And what I want the people to understand here, we have more than 65,000 hectares of vineyards, which in each wine has a very special territory and terroir, which is a landscape, which in these wines gives a very special personality, because as we told, Rioja, it's a very unique land, okay? And going that, I have a winery, which I'm not gonna show you right the back label, but I'm sure I will just show you the wine. Campo Viejo, Rioja, maybe you heard about, it's a very good and very popular winery here in this Rioja region, which I love to show to the people, because I think when we talk about Rioja, this can be an iconic wine, you know, for the people to understand a little bit, as you said, what about the aging, okay? I'm sure during the night, everybody will explain different types of aging in Rioja. What I bring, it's something in the middle, which I think will like most of the people, most of the consumer. It's like an average taste, which I think everybody can understand and everybody can love. And what I love about, first, of course, I'm not very sure you can see the perfect color in this, but what I love, it's always in Rioja. I think it's a special character to see these cherry plums, blackberries, all kind of dark fruits, how we call it now. And then, of course, the complexity of the oak, which is very typical in Rioja wines. We are talking about reds, as you said. What I love is in Rioja in general, the aftertaste and the enrichment of the complexity of the wine in the bottle. First, of course, in the oak, but then how the wine has got the evolution into the bottle, and the bottle aging, I think, helps. And I love that about Rioja. What I have here, okay, it's you cannot feel, but it's very attractive in the nose. And it's very interesting because it has got some pepper, vanilla kind of, you know, hints here. And very special for me in this wine, Campo Viejo from Rioja. It's a 2015 vintage, okay, 2015, so it's a 5 years old. And
I
still
thought we
what I
were
love-
Zoltan, you just told us what year it is, so clearly we know it's not. What are you doing?
but no. But listen to me. It can be very interesting because it could be the vintage, but you don't know what it's gonna be. In Rioja, you have tricks. So yeah, it's true. I told you the vintage, but you're not gonna guess. You're not gonna guess.
I mean, I'm saying at the end of the day, if you gave us 2015, then we know what it's not. That's what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
right? So we know
I
it's
agree.
not Grand Reserve, right? So you're not really helping us here.
I agree. Yeah, I don't really help you, but
Love
you
it.
still have to
Love,
know.
I love this.
He pleads guilty.
Yeah. What I love about this
Philippe,
wine.
Philippe, we're gonna have to play the old tape. I think that Zoltan is this one last, or was it Ariana? One of them did the same thing in the last episode.
It wasn't me.
It was you?
It's,
No.
It was
It was Zoltan.
What are you doing?
it comes natural. So
Zoltan, go ahead and keep talking about your wine, please.
Yes. I think what is important to remember is this elegant expression. No, definitely it's a premium wine, and just for you guys to don't help you more, it has a hint of cloves, some pepper, and coconut, which I'm sure you will know why on all of this. And the aftertaste, it's how should I explain you? Very good for those people who don't like very aromatic, I will say, wines, because finally the most important thing in this wine is the acidity and how to keep clean, fresh palate. And those are the things you have to know about wine. One more thing, and I think we will finish. This wine is made by a fantastic lady called Elena Adele. Is this fantastic woman? This is one of the first book I wrote in 2017, and she chose this wine because I think this wine reflects her personality, and I recommend you definitely to check Campo Viejo because it's a very interesting winery to follow up.
Thank you, Zoltan. No, I appreciate that. And I think that I see this label everywhere. I mean, I think that unfortunately, maybe literally too much, because sometimes the price points for some of them is so low that it actually throws off what people think. They don't know if it's a new consumer, that either Campo Viejo or even other wineries from Rioja, you shouldn't be paying $10 for. Like, there is more to Rioja than that. So you might as well go ahead and tell us, or unless somebody really want to guess, but I think that you might as well just go ahead and talk about which level of it is. I'm assuming you did not pick a Hoven because I gave you money in real life, so I hope you didn't pick a Hoven. So which style is it?
This wine in Spain, I just it's the same. It's around 11 euros the bottle. Okay. So it's for me very interesting to see. Has got a similar price in the US.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the Crianza. That's the
Is it the Crianza?
right?
Yeah.
No, mine is not Crianza.
Oh, it's not?
So it's Hoven?
No. Mine is here, the Burgundy label.
Reserva.
reserve.
Yes.
Oh, because I could have sworn that the yellow label, when I saw the yellow label, I automatically thought Crianza because we sell it.
This is orange-ish.
Orange is
Okay.
Crianza. Yeah.
So the bright yellow is Crianza.
Yes.
There's no yellow one? The bright.
Yes.
So that's orange, but the bright
the
yellow
orange
for
one.
Campo Viejo is Crianza.
Yeah.
I thought it was the bright yellow.
Yellow, it's Crianza, and this one I have is Reserva. Yes.
Orange. That's the problem with Zoom.
Yeah.
Yellow and orange look the same to me.
No, but seriously, I mean, but we'll talk about it because we all have different ones, but I think that, for the most part, that's a good example. We both just said in the market here, $10 for the same one. And then obviously in Spain, it's even lower in price in euros, and yet you're still getting a Reserva level at that price, right? So that could be part of the discussion we have later so we can get through the wines, but I really think that this may be, I don't know if you would consider this a problem or a benefit, for Rioja, but I digress. Thanks, Zoltan, for sharing the wine. Do you want to talk about a pairing with the wine, or you good?
Now it's a wonderful season for lamb wonderful season for all kinds of mushrooms up north, and the region where I'm living, close to Barcelona. You guys have to understand we have more than 500 different mushroom types during the season, and it's fantastic to have it with some truffle. We have very good black truffle here. So imagine to do a tiny stew, or if you like, some mushrooms only on the grill with some green oil and garlic and a few shades of truffle, and put an egg on the end. I think this wine will be make you cry.
Gotta put an egg on it. You know, you gotta put an egg.
The egg made me cry.
No, with the mushroom, with the eggs and the truffle, it's, trust me.
She's for it. Don't worry.
Happy tears. Happy tears.
This is happy tears. Who wants to pick up next? Jermaine, you've been too quiet, boo. I'm gonna need you to jump in here now. You're too quiet over there.
Oh man, okay. Let's see. So for me, you know, I get a lot of berries on the nose.
Okay.
You know, some slight vanilla, low acid. And you know, last night I had a bottle, I had it open for a while, and you know, I was able to get some sweet cherries from it. But it has this the way the has like these interesting tannins on the finish. But yeah, I was feeling it. You know, I'm a quiet dude, so don't expect me to be jumping in all crazy.
Quiet.
Wait, first of all, Jermaine, that's good because you, in my gallery view, you're here and Zoltan's here, so that's a nice like balance.
Perfect
You quiet,
balance.
he's giving all the energy, then that's the balance.
Perfect balance. Perfect balance. I actually picked up a lot of jewels from him. You know, I picked up a lot just hearing him speak about Rioja. You know, my background has been in wine auctions, so I've dealt with Rioja in a different capacity. So just hearing him speak about it, I picked up a lot.
What would you say so you already gave us some information by telling us that you opened it last night. So we know that it must not be so young because of this. I would use that as
I have two bottles, you know, this one is fresh from today, but yesterday, you know, it took some, I got some cherries after it was open for a little while.
Okay. Well, in comparison to the one from yesterday versus today, I would think that, if somebody else want to jump in here, but are you giving us, you said the hint of vanilla, maybe not overpowering. How intense or complex are the flavors on your nose and which ones there are? I think maybe that would help us kind of get an idea of the vintage to be able to select a particular style.
Yeah, light complexity on the nose, you know, not over oaked at all. Let's see here.
How's the color? Is it bright?
Super deep. Yeah, super deep red.
So it's young.
Yes, it is young. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
It's young.
Do we think it's Crianza? Because he was mentioning it does have some vanilla, some spice, so maybe like a young Crianza.
Ariana, what how many years you want to go on at? You want to say 5 years? You want to say 3 years?
He's saying it's young, but he also is sensing the oak. So I'm gonna say it's like 2017 or something. So like a year in oak, and then a year in bottle, and then sitting around in the warehouse.
Anybody else want to guess a vintage? So for those who are listening, Crianza requires 1 year in oak, 1 year in bottle. That's it. So they can do more or less, no less, but more aging than that. So anybody else want to take a vintage guess?
I'm down with Crianza.
Okay.
2018?
Yeah.
Dalton, 2018?
Yes.
You saying Crianza, or do you think it's Rioja Joven?
Yeah, it's Crianza, definitely. Yeah, having a little bit of oak and having these barrel flavors, I will go, some Crianza, 2018.
Yeah, it's definitely it's still young. Yeah, very exuberant, and as you mentioned, so it's really young.
Philippe, you want to pick a vintage?
Yeah, 2018 probably. Yeah.
All right, so Ariana's going with the oldest one. So, all right, I'm ready, Jermaine. Let them know what you got, what we have.
2017. Wait, can you see this?
Yeah.
Bodegas Laras.
Laras. Okay.
I haven't had that wine.
And it's
It's really delicious. It's delicious.
Is it Crianza?
It's a Crianza, yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Can you show us the seal?
Where are we?
Oh no, that's a Hoven.
Ah,
Green is Hoven.
okay.
Yes.
It's a young Rioja.
The young one.
Young, yeah.
So
The
it's
generic.
interesting.
This is generic.
Yeah, the generic basic. They call it.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting part, and I think that's the cool part of this is because you don't even need to know. The label is gonna give you the information. So if it's that orangey red, like bright red color, it's automatically Crianza. If it's green, it's gonna be low to no oak required, and so therefore it's Hoven. But that doesn't mean that the age is not older, right? It can still be a different vintage versus being what it's how they submitted it to the actual the consortium, right? So they're like, oh, we're only qualifying it for this, but yet we're gonna age it longer, or maybe that's how long it took to get to the market. So, but I'm glad to hear that it still had all of this interesting notes that's still showing up. And yeah, I don't have it, so I'm just gonna have to take it from you that it's good.
No, it's I had it with a friend last night, and like he wanted the bottle. So yeah, and it was like a great value also, you know. We looked it up, like super great values at for these wines.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Jermaine. Who's next?
I'll go. Or unless Kilo wants to.
I'll roll if you want. It's
roll in the Rioja.
Okay.
Roll
in the
Rioja.
Here we go. So I feel like if I show certain things, I'll give it away. So I'll just talk about the bodega itself. It's founded in the 1870s. And they have about 75 hectares. They do about 300,000 bottles. So that's about 25,000 cases of wine a year. They're on their 4th generation winemaker, family owned, operated. They only produce from their vineyard. From their holdings. So it's owner operated, bottled, all that fun stuff. So just giving you the fact that I'm giving you guys that background, I feel like that's giving you a little bit, even a hint. But I thought the wine was great. I've been sipping on it for a couple of hours.
Mind you, it's 12:30 in New York.
I mean, Jermaine started last night. He was doing his homework too.
That's how I roll, you know.
You told us that we had to come
yes,
with it.
Yes. Get to know your wine. Be one with the wine.
I hope my mom is not in here. She'd be like, Kilola, what time? Why didn't you schedule this for later? Be like, some people are in Europe. So I'm European right now, as far as I'm concerned. That's the time zone I'm in. That's how I'm rolling, you know. So this is, for me, I feel like I have one of those noses. I pick up scents and smells all over the place. So for me, this was shockingly aromatic, and shockingly, I'm saying shockingly purposefully to hint. I'm getting dried apricots, I'm getting prunes, I'm getting tobacco, I'm getting cherries, lots of fruit. Once again, I'm not really going to talk about the color because I feel like that just gives it away.
Okay.
Just why I ask about color, because I think that gives a lot away.
Right.
With Rioja. And the finish is very good. The tannins are soft and there's acid. I think it's just really well balanced and a really long finish. Shockingly so. So a lot of things to me, one, because I've never had this bodega, so I was very excited. And two, I've actually been to Rioja are some of the oldest examples of wines, older vintages I've ever tasted. And I have a lot of experience with Spanish wine, so for me, this was a treat to come across something that I hadn't had before. And this is what it looks like. So you can't really. I'm in a bad room because of the kitties, but um, it does have a light rim. So I don't know if I gave you guys enough. Y'all want to ask me some questions to try and guess?
I want to know about the depth, more about the texture of the wine,
Okay.
mouthfeel.
It's medium bodied.
Okay.
It's medium bodied. It's very silky and smooth, but it's still, the tannins are still attacking the gums, and the acid is still coming on the back end. It doesn't feel super hot. It definitely you still taste vanilla. You still taste some of the oak, but it's not overwhelming. Actually, it's a very well integrated, balanced wine. And it's still, every single thing is still that you look for in blind tasting in order to hint at Rioja is here.
So Kilolo, and any tertiary aromas there?
I mean, if you want to go into like not potpourri, but some kind of spice box, that is there. But it's not up front. It's more of the dried fruits, more of the apricots, ripe. There are some ripe prunes, maybe a little cloves in terms of tertiary notes. But that's not something that's very upfront. It's very much, when I taste something like this, it's very expressive, but it's kind of a dance of multiple different things to me, which indicates good winemaking and also just like a well-balanced wine. So
from the point of view of the mouthfeel you were describing, like if you were selling this wine to a customer, would you say like this wine is ready to drink, or that this wine could take a couple more years?
Ariana, that's cheating. You cannot ask that question.
Oh, come on.
You don't think so? Is it ready to drink, or should I cellar it? You know,
I'll say it's both.
Yeah, cool.
It's ready to drink.
Nice one.
But it's not on its last leg. However, it's getting there.
Yolo.
Yes.
Sweetie, let me help you. First of all, don't worry. Somewhere in the word, it's wine o'clock. So feel free, enjoy it. Don't be guilty. Yeah.
Thank you.
And talking on that, I will go to Gran Reserva. I don't know why. When you talk about this, I'm surprised because in generally on these Gran Reservas, it's very common to have tertiary aromas, right? Because of the aging. But as you said, talking about this family, talking about fourth generation, and talking about an older type of Rioja, I will go on Gran Reserva from your notes and maybe seeing a little bit of the color.
Anybody else? Gran Reserva would. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she talked about it having not much time left, so I think Father Time is going to be on there.
Anybody want to take a stab on a vintage? So even if it's Gran Reserva, what are we thinking? How many years?
2015.
Gran Reserva requires 2 years in oak, 3 years in bottle for clarity for anyone. So
yeah.
So as long as it's over 5 years, it can qualify. But anybody else?
I'm going a little bit of like a Crianza, like a crusty Crianza vibe, where like maybe this Crianza has been released for a little while, like maybe a 2015 or something, 2015, 2016 Crianza.
Okay. Zoltan, you want to throw in a vintage for your Gran Reserva?
No, because now it's true, Ariana make me to doubt, because that can be too. Imagine another important question will be for Kiolo, how long you have the wine? How long you kept the wine at home? Because maybe if you have the wine like 3 years ago, it's true can be a Crianza, which you didn't drink at that time, and a good Crianza still can survive.
I just sent it to her this week. So she
was sent to me. I opened it at 10:30. And if I say this, it'll give it away. But we're one more person has to guess before I really start.
Yeah.
Jermaine, did you guess? Sorry.
On a vintage, he said Grand
On a
Reserve.
vintage, no,
Oh, you said Grand Reserve.
I'll say, Philippe, what did you say?
I
He
said
said 18.
You said 2018.
No, 15.
15, sorry.
2015.
Yeah, Grand Reserve.
I'm gonna go with, I'll say 2017.
Grand Reserve. Okay. Kilolo, do you want to tell them what I've blessed you with?
I mean, you have blessed me. Thank you very much. I'm gonna say this. The oldest bottle of I've had Imperials before. And the oldest Imperial I ever had was and I printed it out from the dinner like 6 years ago, was in 1935. So I had 19
Cune?
Yes. And I've had Riscal too. Riscal was 1945. So when I taste certain things and see certain vintages, I get very excited, especially from this region for older things. I think that cemented me falling in love with it, is to see the ageability. And when I mean it's ready to drink now, but it does have some more time, I really meant that. So it is a Grand Reserva, 1994 Arena.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I've never had Urbina before. So when I saw this, I said, ooh, 94, yes, I will taste this. I also, when I opened it, I made the biggest faux pas that you should not when you open up an older wine, is I didn't use an asso first, which was dumb. So I used the regular waiter's corkscrew to open it. And of course the cork broke and I had to push it in because I couldn't get the asso up. So I decanted it. And so I decanted it, strained out the cork that was in there. And it's beautiful. It's opened up to be something. It's ready to drink right now, but like I said, the tannins, the acid, the oak, the spice, the fruit, everything is so well integrated, and it still has time. It can still be laid down for a number of years. But to me, the reason why it doesn't have maybe 10 years is because of the weight of the body of the wine. To me, it's not heavy enough on the tannins for me to think that it has more than maybe 7 years left. But that's just me. But it's good. Wish y'all were here in the room with me, but there's a pandemic, so.
You won the big prize.
Yeah, you see why, I'm glad I know you close enough that I can come get it from you. So that's why I made sure.
Me too. We'll do some distance Brooklyn drinking.
Yes.
Sure. Ariana, you want to pick up?
Just one question for Kilolo from our viewers. So Michi is asking Kilolo, does the wine you're sipping feel young? As in it needs more bottle aging, or it is a good time to drink it? So
it's a good time to drink it. It doesn't feel young because of the weight. It's medium body where it should be feeling full bodied. And the aging on it, I don't know the aging on this particular bottle except for the minimum that they had to do, which is 2 years in bottle, 3 years. 2 years in oak and 3 years in bottle. So depending on how much more they did on that with this vintage, I couldn't find it. I was looking. So I don't know when it was released into the wild, but because of the medium body, the weight of it, that's to me saying that it's showing its age, and its color actually too is dwindling. So that's why I didn't want to really say anything about the color, because there is a bit of a brick rim and it's not as deep and ruby and pigmented that we would normally be looking for. It's starting to get lighter in color.
Great. Thank you.
Harry?
Yeah, yum. I love a Rioja with some age like that. So I'm not going to get into the details of how it was made because that will give it away, but I can go into the producer. Can I state the producer? Is that?
That's part of the mystery too, but if you want to.
Oh, you want it to be the mystery? Yeah, I was just wondering.
It's like, okay, you can share it. Yeah.
Because, yeah. Well, first let's start with the wine. The color doesn't give too much away. It could be doing a couple different things. I don't know if you can see.
Not much, but it just seems deep red.
Yeah, it's a deep color, right? It's a deep color. It's not.
This is signature for Tempranillo, right? So we're here also because Tempranillo Day was this week, so this is good. We all have all this Tempranillo. We're talking about different things. Kilo is talking about the way it's showing up in her glass. So with age, how Tempranillo evolves, so. This is important. So sorry, I just wanted to point that out for those if you're watching this in replay. That's nice to talk about the diversity of Tempranillo itself. The grape.
Yeah. And this one happens to be almost entirely Tempranillo. So it's 97% Tempranillo and 3% Graciano. So I'd say it's probably a pretty pure example of Tempranillo made in this style. Aromatically, well, so I opened this around 10:30 as well. And I definitely know I'm going to put the cork in, go to work, come back and expect it to be doing all kinds of different things tonight for dinner. But because it's already opening up a little bit over the course of this Zoom. But aromatically, it's giving a lot of great Rioja kind of typicity and a wide range of Rioja Tempranillo character and really lively, beautiful, kind of floral blackberry, some fresh dark fruits, but then some stewed black cherries, a little bit of stewed plum. We have kind of a mix of warm spice and cooler, more kind of balsamic notes. You have a little there's some cedar, there's some peppercorn. There's a little kind of salty, Laurie's seasoned salt kind of vibe coming in, which I love.
Laurie's? Yes, come on. Laurie's?
The little MSG and the little paprika.
MSG.
Definitely some licorice. This kind of nice tug between warm spice and cool spice. So that's the aroma. There's a lot going on. And then on the palate, I have to say it's still pretty it's taut, and the fruit is a little bit tart, more chewy skins, more chewy plum skin, tart, darker berries. Not as evolved as the nose would suggest. So that's a little surprising. I'm sure that's going to change. And then some chocolatey notes, some sweet tea. It's not very long. I have to say this wine still appears like it will have a few decades, maybe some more ahead of it. I would love to see it kind of lengthen out. The tannins and the acid and the alcohol are still fighting a little. So that's going to be a fun journey. And oak wise, just maybe a little vanilla, if we're talking American oak, this, I'm not getting a ton of American oak notes off of it, more just a little vanilla. And then the rest would be kind of those chocolatey, more peppery notes. And the winery, I will say, is pretty large, founded in the 70s. Definitely kind of at the top of their game in terms of broad commercial offerings that still are, I think, wines of high integrity. It's a bigger producer that's doing big really well, I think, and does it in a couple different regions, if that helps.
Let's see if we can make a stab take a stab at with vintage, which level we thinking for?
Well, I'm doing process of elimination.
Mm-hmm. Shit. We're done.
So we know it's not.
I say it's a Reserva.
And Reserva is 1 year in oak and 2 years in bottle requirement for those who are following. So that's the minimum level for those who are paying attention. No one's called out a Reserva too much yet, so I think this was interesting. So this is our first Reserva call. Okay, Ariana?
Can I?
Oh, no, Ariana, sorry, Kilolo. Do you want to give a vintage?
I just want to say also the reason why I said Reserva is because you said things are still kind of like fighting. And even with Hovens and Crianzas, I don't see a lot of fighting. Because Reservas should and can be laid down. They need time to chill the hell out. So if you have a Reserva and it's a young Reserva, then at that point things are still kind of can be like,
dancing. I call them dancing. You call them fighting.
Right. Yes. Oh, kung fu fighting. Yeah. So I say
you want to give a vintage.
You said it's a big winery, like prolific.
Yes.
I think it's a Reserva with some age. Because just because it's Reserva doesn't mean that, I mean, not too much age. Can I see the color again? It's a little different. What year is this? 2020?
No.
The back of my head. Okay, I say 2014 Reserva.
Okay, that's hers. Anybody else? Going once, going twice, Kilos, 2016 Reserva. Okay.
No, 2014.
2014. Anybody else?
My money's on Kilolo. She seems confident.
The Zoltan.
7 twice.
I will say 2015 vintage, 15.
Okay. Are you also agreeing with her call on Reserva, or are you going to challenge that and say something?
Yeah, I can go with Reserva, because she says things which can go. Of course, has oak, has the barrel, and the aromas she's saying are more secondary, tertiary, And I will go there. Yeah, Reserva.
Philippe?
Well, I'm a bit challenged here because you mentioned that the alcohol, the tannins, they're still fighting. I'm really not very convinced with the Reserva tag, but I would go for a Crianza. Because of that, because the tannins are still not that rounded, there is still that exuberance of the fruit that you mentioned. So I would risk Crianza this time, and I would say 2017.
All right, Ari.
This is a Baronia Grand Reserva 2010.
Wow.
Grand Reserva, what year?
Feeling Grand Reserva. Like if I were selling this or serving this, I would decant. I would like double decant or tell them to do that because it's giving a lot aromatically, and it's like there's a lot of bottled up youth in this, which I think is like it's a good old fashioned formula for long life. I think this particular Grand Reserva, right? So minimum 2 years in oak, and this one had 28 months. So they're like cutting it off right there and then moving it to bottle. So I think that might be why we're getting all of these youthful textures.
And the vintage?
2010.
10.
Yeah.
I sell that wine.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Now I need to open a bottle.
Was that your experience with it? Have you tasted it yet? Did my description
I haven't.
sound reasonable?
We sell the Reserva and the Grand Reserva, actually. And I've had both, but I haven't had them in over a year. I tried them a little over a year ago. And they are both examples are very bright and youthful and not quite relaxed yet, which to me isn't a bad thing. To me, a lot of people want personality in their wines, no matter what level they're buying it at. So if your wine is consistently talking to you, that is appealing to a lot of people. So, and I say that actually when I sell that wine, because I remember that. So that's
I love that.
Yeah.
Like talking pieces of it talking to each other rather than fighting. I think that's like, I should modify the way I describe it.
Did you say fighting first or did I?
You said
fighting,
fighting.
but I prefer talking to.
I like talking. I say dancing.
Talking. I'm going for the jugular, always.
Wow. This is a great example of aging in Rioja. 2010 with that exuberance of the fruit, it's really something. So it's nice wine.
It's gonna be a nice journey.
And we know where to get it here in New York. We could just go to Kilolo. She got it on stock.
Both. I have the Reserva and the Grand Reserva. And to your point, Philippe, at that dinner that I mentioned before, we tasted wines from, because I printed it out. The youngest we had at the time was a 2009, and it went all the way down to 1935. And the difference in vintage, the difference in the bottlings, all of them still had life. Even 1935 was kicking it. After like 4 hours in my glass, we're at the end, and all these collectors were like, "You still have wine in your glass?" I said, "I want to see how it develops and how it moves." And so to me, Rioja is just, you never know what's gonna happen.
Helping here, just let me say, from Veronia, you guys, or I guess belongs to a very big group of González Vías, right? And I was very lucky to do the wine tasting with the winemaker here in Barcelona, and we tasted the first vintage from Veronia, which is 1972. It's a white label, and still was alive, still was a wine with character, and I think they're making a very good job. And then they bring a 1984 and 1982 with red label, the same Gran Reserva both, and were fantastic. So I think it's a big winery with very good wines.
Oh, I forgot to show the back that it's the navy blue
stamp.
Insignia is the Gran Reserva.
Oh, I didn't show the back. Was I supposed to do that?
No, but you both have the Gran Reserva. So
we both have blue. That's true.
Yeah.
All right, Philippe, it's you and I, and then we're at the 1 hour mark. Good thing we did the tasting first, because who knows, if we got into these questions, we would never be drinking wine. And I know folks got to go. So please, let's get through this. Me and you, we can speed round this, and then we can get to some of these questions, okay?
Sure, great. So the wine that I bring you today is from one of the 3 regions that Zoltan mentioned. The wine, it's from the Rioja Alta, from Haro. So Haro is really one of the main cities of Rioja Alta. A lot of tradition there, and the winemaker is called Muga. So Bodega Muga. They are making wine, family estate, since 1932. So they are also very known in Spain and also overseas. And they are making a lot of wines. The wine that I bring you today, just to mention, they make 1 million bottles of this reference every year. So the wine that I bring you today is 70% Tempranillo, 20% Grenache, and 10% Mazuelo and Graciano. Just to mention, some of you must know Tempranillo. It's really the flag grape of Rioja. We also use it in Portugal, but in Portugal we call it another name. It's called Tinta Roriz. So just to mention that we have a lot of grapes that we share with Spain. And I really love Tempranillo. I'm very excited with this. I've been sipping for a while. I opened this bottle a few hours ago, and I'm really very pleased with its choice. So what I can say about the wine, so beautiful ruby color, as you can see. On the nose, a very exuberant red fruit, black fruits, also some forest fruits. You can feel the fruits very, very present there. It's a lovely wine, very balanced. It's a medium body wine. Acidity is still very there. Tannins, you can notice they're rounded by the oak aging, but they're still very present, but on the silky way. So you can find it a very elegant wine and very lingering finishing, which is something that I really like. After sipping a wine, keep tasting after a few seconds, and this wine gives it all. So I really like this wine. Just to mention that this winemaker claims to be the only seller in Spain that makes their own oak barrels. So this is something interesting that I found. Zoltan, you must know when I will tell about. I also mentioned Muga, so they have their own craftsmen doing the oak barrels on the cellars. So that's another feature of this wine. And in short, very balanced wine, silky, very elegant. You can feel the notes of the oak there. Some vanilla, but not very, very much. So nice finishing, very lingering. And you would pair it very well with some meat, probably some, why not some Rioja potatoes, some stewed potatoes with chorizo from Rioja. So I toast to that and to you all.
Ariana, don't smile. You know Philippe is always the good cop. He always comes in like a poet, you know. He always make me look bad.
I love it. He takes me places.
Oh.
I mean, I heard chorizo and potatoes, and I want to exit stage left and go get that.
He's taking me to lunch. All right. So what do we think Philippe has? Let's talk about it. Any questions?
I think it's 1 million bottles making of this. Definitely it's a Muga Crianza. And I think it's a 16 vintage, which is now on the market, which they label it as Crianza, but in general, if we look how long was aged, could be definitely go to Reserva, but they're prefer to keep it longer in the cellar, you know, but it's labeled as Crianza. And just to say, Aro, where this wine is made, it's the place in Europe with most of the wineries, which has more than 100 years. So centenary wineries in one place, it's there in Aro.
You can talk a little bit about history, about the French winemakers coming to Aro.
We'll talk about that in the questions so we can get through my tasting.
Okay. Never mind.
I'm going with Zoltan. I'm seconding Zoltan. That was well reasoned.
So we got 16 Crianza. We got 2 people on that train. Who else? Kilolo, you're going to challenge this 16 Crianza?
I mean, I've had Muga so many years in a row, and like Zoltan said, they hold things back. Like they're able to just kind of do what they want. You said, I mean, would you guys say Crianza?
Zoltan, 16.
Talk about passion. You're like, this is what it is. Challenge it. I'ma challenge it.
I love that.
Bring it on.
I say it's a Reserva. I say it's a young Reserva.
All right, give me a year.
Oh, oy vey, you and these vintages. The vintage is what messes us up. I'm gonna go again. What I say before, 2014.
Yeah,
let's say
for mine. Yeah,
You know, I'll do that again.
All right, 2014 Reserva.
It's
Let's
speaking
go.
to me.
Jermaine, what you gonna do? You gonna challenge it, or you gonna be Team Kilolo or Team Zoltan? What is it? This is
you know, so I'm familiar with the winery. I'm gonna say, cause yeah, and that's the winery I've seen around in like auction stuff. So I'd say I'm gonna go with a 2012 Reserva.
okay.
Not bad. Not a bad choice.
Everyone votes is in. So we have Ariana on Team Zoltan, Kilolo, and then Jermaine. So we have 3 different votes.
I'm
16
sticking with you,
Crianza.
Kilolo. Don't steer me wrong.
No, we have a 2012
We ended to win
Reserva,
it.
2014 Reserva, so 2 for Reserva, and then 2 for Crianza. All right, come on, Fleet, let us know.
Right, so we have Bodega Smuga 2016 Reserva. So as you
Reserva.
can see on the back label, the seal Reserva.
Right.
So you know what's messed up? I was gonna say 2016, but I kept with 2014. I would have nailed that bottle. Had I gone with my first freaking choice, I would have nailed that bottle. I'm so annoyed.
Let this be a lesson for those of you taking exams, okay? Go with your intuition.
Go with your intuition. I said 2014 again. I should have went 2016, but I'm glad that makes me very happy.
Yeah, I mean,
job,
I think we all are fans of Muga. I was actually there when watching someone toast the barrel, the oak. So that's definitely an experience for if you visit in Hato. Like, you get to see everything soup to nuts. Like, you know, they're dead serious about this oak. So let me get into mine so we can get into some of these questions. As you see me smelling all during the whole program. So first thing I get is black fruit. This is strictly on the nose. Let me do this. Black cassis, jammy, licorice, walnut even, boysenberry. This is what's jumping out the glass. It is very, I would say the intensity is probably medium to high, especially just straight from like, even when I took the cork out, it was immediately jumping out. So that very aromatic. And then on the palate, it was more of underripe version of the fruit. So if it smelled on the nose like it was going to be more ripe versions, but then it started turning a little bit greener and more underripe, more floral versus fruity. So it was the first, I went straight to vegetal. And so I thought thinking about, this is perfect wine for a red wine for everyone always asks me, because that's the trend, right? What goes with my vegan dishes and what goes with my vegetarian food? This started actually tasting a mixture of earthiness. So when Ariana was talking, I actually was like, oh, yes. I got like some of the exact same things, but it was so green, the balsamic, the pepper on mine versus peppery. Mine was more like bell pepper, purple fruit. So plum notes, even a hint of prunes, you know, so it was tad bit turning, you know, a little bit into secondary notes. The red fruit, barely none. So just the freshness is all coming from bright purple or blueberry fruits. I was even trying to like stretch, like maybe there's something like, it made me want to say, oh, like a blueberry muffin or a blueberry pie. But I didn't want to say that at first because people would immediately think that the dough, and I that's not the case here. This is more like a blueberry ice cream, like something that is super fresh, but still tart and still have this astringency that would go well with a vegetarian dish. And so without going, and then the tannins, very chewy. So I can feel them gripping on my gums. The acid level was high. The tannins is about medium plus to high. But yet it's in this very perfumey, elegant way. So I won't say anything else because I'll probably give it away. Questions?
Vegetal.
Which part of Rioja?
is Rioja Alta. It's 100% Tempranillo from 80-year-old vines.
Mm. 80-year-old vines.
Crianza, it's very purple. I can see from the color, I will say Crianza. And 17?
I'm going with you. I mean, saying vegetal really is,
yeah.
That's to me.
Vegetal in a whole cluster way, you know, like you can taste the difference when they're using the when it's like, oh, this is.
I'm actually really bad with this, but to me, if I was to hear that, you're talking about the vintage, because you're telling me that when I'm hearing that, I'm hearing that the vintage wasn't, it was cold or something to me is talking to me about not a great vintage. I don't know why I'm hearing that, but that's what I'm hearing from you. Like, it's a prolific, really good producer. So no matter if it's a bad vintage, they're gonna make good wine, but it's not a great vintage. That's all I'm hearing. And my brain stopped there.
I would think the same way if I knew the winemaker. I think without, and I mean, I'm more than happy to say the name, but I think without, like if Philippe's Muga was described that way, I'm like, Muga don't usually sound like that. So it must be a vintage, like you just said. But this is Sincera. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I don't know if I show you the bottle, it will say the age in the front label, so I can't show it right now. But yeah, so with knowing that it's a producer I'm not familiar with, Zoltan, I don't know if you know Sincera, but
I know they have a bottle which looks as a perfume.
It does. Wait, this is a sexy looking bottle. Wait till you see this thing. But yeah, it's definitely a whole mood, and so that's why it kind of makes sense. We look like what they're doing with this. I mean, this is a marketing thing, right? Women like this, I would assume, a bottle that would look like this. So in this case, I can show you the side of it.
Yeah, very black, yeah.
What?
Wow.
So if you could imagine, if this is the wine, like they're going for something different, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to like interject you, Kilolo, because I would agree if it was something super traditional where they have, but if it's a wine bottle like this on the shelf and they like, this doesn't sound like the typical, they're not going for the typical, right? So this is the wine bottle.
Wow.
That's a tricky one.
I've never seen that bottle before. And actually in America, now I'm going to inject the American sensibility into this. Especially as a retailer, when I see something like that, I'm not necessarily happy because it's messing with the flow of my shelf. Like, right. How am I going to stack that?
How do you stack? Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Where am I putting that? What am I doing? Am I putting that on a liquor shelf?
Right.
You're making me floor stack this. I'm cutting the case open, I'm making an end cap, now I'm talking marketing stuff. And you're making me front face this in my store because it can't go on my shelf. I don't know what to, I say it's a Hoven.
Okay, who else? Hoven, what year?
2018.
Okay. Who else? Come on. We have one Crianza.
We haven't had a Crianza yet in this whole tasting, right?
Oh, true.
That's what's messing me up because I'm getting more Hoven notes, like you're mentioning, like the vegetal notes, the kind of whole clustering notes, but we haven't had a Crianza. But is that bottle allowed in the classifications? Yeah. Like, can that be a Crianza?
I'm in America and it's here with me.
Oh, it's like the American bottle.
No, this is the bottle. I'm saying it's allowed.
It's the original bottle.
Sure. That is the bottle.
Yeah, and it's bottled in a tiny white box. Each wine, right? Each is coming in a private box. Yeah.
Oh. It's getting more and more sustainable. So
Each
let's go
one.
process of elimination. I have to go Crianza, although I'm with Kilolo that I'm hearing a little Hoven in there.
So give me a year.
2017 Crianza.
Okay. Next, Philippe.
I would go for Crianza 2018.
18 Crianza. All right, we all over the place. Jermaine.
I don't know. Some just telling me go Vino Hoven.
All right, Hoven, give me a year.
2018.
Okay. So, actually, it wasn't in the front, but here we are, the nice perfume label, right? So look, that's dope. See, Jermaine sees it in a different way, right? So you get to see how beautiful
So it's called perfume, huh?
Yes. And so I thought it was interesting because if a wine is named perfume, then it's going to be as perfumed as possible, right? They're going to try to fight for that. So this is actually a Hoven green sticker. Yeah. And it's from 2014. And I thought that
carbonic maceration, no?
Say one more time.
Carbonic maceration.
Carbonic maceration.
Yep.
So they're keeping it fresh. They're keeping it fresh. You can feel it. It tastes. You can tell they're trying to invest to make sure that it's still. They don't. I guess you can tell they're going against the grain. That we have the Rioja, the Mugas of the world, the Tondonias, right? So we already know these guys is pushing out that version that we've heard for the last 30, 40 minutes. So they are clearly going all into like, no, we're the new fresh version.
Are they pushing like no sulfites and like vegan and gluten free and
I didn't read that when I was looking them up, no. But they are obviously with the Sunseta in the name, they're definitely, I guess in my mind, I also think of this being mountain fresh, right? Sunseta. So they're really trying to get this idea of like, we want to invite, Seta Cantabria, right? So like we're going with the idea that we are one with the trees, the range, versus like more more connected to nature. And so the fact that it's so green, in my mouth it makes sense too, in a good way. And I know that there's a place for this, in Portugal, we have our Vinho Verde red that probably is, who knows? I don't think this thing probably will sell as much in America, but to be honest, we have a whole cluster of folks asking us what goes well with my, I don't know, my eggplant, with my asparagus. Like this is what they eat, right? So I think this is where these more stringent reds can actually take place on the menu. And so, actually that's what we poured for one of our vegan dishes out in Lisbon. So 17 months, it says, was bottled and aging in the bottle. So it's, they're doing their best to do this carbonic maceration and keep that as much of the forward thinking process of the wine. So
nice.
Sounds good. Like your notes are really tasty.
Your notes are really tasty.
I'm interested. You need to tell me where I can find it.
It's a
okay. Tell me where I can find it.
I've never met a wine I didn't want to taste.
Let me make sure if we got any questions about the wines, let us know. But I'm gonna put all the wines in the final copy. I know I say that all the time. I'm backed up, but believe me, it will end up there. You will see them, or you can replay the video. Everybody showed their wines. And I think that is something that people need to understand about Rioja, is that it's not all the same. And I wanted to drive home that as much with the variety of different, is it Reserva, is it Crianza? That's one thing, but not even people who are in the industry can easily point that out, because then the years, the actual vintage may be different. So just understand they didn't want this to taste or, be like a Grand Reserva. So that's why they're like, even though it's 2014, let's keep it with the group that it makes sense to be next to, Hoven, because it tastes like a more youthful, young style. So people just need to pick up on that. And from that, I think I just want to go straight into, the idea of new age and modern versus the traditional styles of Rioja. So just kind of hands up, or you can speak out. Are you more for it? Are you more interested in having a Rioja that is more modern or new, or do you want one that's going to check all the boxes. I think it was Key Lolo who was like, this is the traditional Rioja. This is what you expect from like your tasting notes that you've read about from someone else jumping out in his glass? Or are you like, give me the more modern, more new version, I'm ready for it? Just let me know your thoughts.
I mean, I'll say this. For me, Rioja, Ribera, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what region we're talking about, anywhere in the country. We can talk about Burgundy, Bordeaux, it doesn't matter to me. I want your wine to be well balanced. If you're trying to introduce a different grape varietal and shake it up, make sure your wine tastes balanced. Things that are disjointed, things that if you're telling me it's supposed to taste this way, but it doesn't taste that way, annoy me. So I'm here for modern, I'm here from forward movement, but I want the wine to be I want it to sound put together.
Anybody else? Unless, I guess to add to that is the fact that what Philippe was mentioning, Rioja is steeped in tradition. So for any other region, maybe not so much, that's not a big deal. But for Rioja, since we have this connection with France, we have the Phoenicians coming to the Iberian Peninsula, we have this long story, like, when you hear Rioja, do you want one to be modern, or are you more open to the idea, like, no, you know what? No one's drinking that style anymore. We're ready. We want something new coming out of there, or do we want the traditional ones? Like, we need to be textbook Rioja. Anybody else thoughts on that?
I would say that the market needs more examples of different kinds of Rioja, and that's long overdue. And I love the classics. I'm here for the classics. I'm also here for freshness, things that are better with vegetarian food, like you described, maybe like experimenting a little bit outside of the normal categories. I had never seen that square bottle before, but that same winery is one that has registered a good number of vineyards under Rioja's new classification system that allows for like single terroir and single vineyard and single zone wines. So they've registered a bunch of their single vineyards. So that's interesting too, that they're both like getting into like a more like fun commercial, like laid back approach in the packaging and in like the freshness of the wine, but also going for like this opportunity to get really serious about terroir expression, which usually results in a less like, I mean, in most examples, it results in like a slightly less like hedonistic, silky wine. It's a little bit a wine that's a little earthier, a little more mineral, a little less reliant on the fruit and the oak. And so I think bring it on, because right now consumers still are just stuck in the like classic silky oaky Rioja mentality. And the sooner we can get them to try different expressions, the better.
We're going to move to another question unless Zoltan has something to say.
I just want to say, each wine has its moment. Each moment has his wine. To just resume this, make it so easy, right? Depends where you are, what do you eat, depends the people who you are sharing the wine. You will choose maybe a classic Rioja style or a new Rioja style, because the market is changed and our food changed too. Very important to understand the people in general. This old classic Rioja, which was tasted like Pinocchio's P analytics, a lot of wood, a lot of horrible stuff, which nowadays we don't want. Why? Because nowadays it's more sunny, it's nicer weather, we eat healthier, we don't eat those stews, those heavy potatoes and everything as older people did before our generation. And I think that's why now Rioja adapted to all of these new, as you said, village of wine, or you know, the different labels they having now. And of course on Sierra, it's a big example of this new Rioja for new target, new markets, where finally people want a wine to be ready to drink now. And because we don't have the space to keep the wine more, or we don't have, you know, that easy way as before, you have a house at home and you have a huge cellar and keep it. Now we have to be fast. You know, you have a wine ready to be drunk now with this vegan people, with vegetarians, with people who they want a glass of wine lunchtime and go back to work.
Okay. So we didn't talk much because I think I think all of our wines are actually from Rioja Alta. And I think Rioja Alta alone represents more than, oh, you know what I just realized? I have a whole map. I don't know where it's at, but just like I never showed the map, but just know that Rioja is split into three. There's Rioja Alta, Rioja Alavesa, and then Rioja Baja. And so in this case, Alta get confused where they think that it's like stacked on top of each other, but technically they're actually right near each other. Alta is the largest area, and Alavesa is to the east of it. Oh, now you're gonna make me feel bad because I didn't I have that same one, and I was supposed to like share the screen. It's always a share the screen moment, and it didn't happen. So there we go. So thank you, Zoltan. So the orange part is Alta, which is where our wines came from. But what do you guys think? Is there anything interesting that's coming out of Rioja Baja or Rioja Alavesa that we should talk about, and that we should, like, you know, Ariana just talked about the diversity of Rioja. So this is one way to think about diversity, is literally where, when you look at the bottle, and if it, in my case, mine says Rioja Alta on it. And so if there was one that said Baja, or if it said Alavesa, should people start searching for that? And what's something cool that they should think of about those styles of wines that's interesting, that brings to the table?
So maybe Zoltan can bring something to the table. And I was just looking at the question from Michi, that she was mentioning that there's a lot of young, smaller producers making amazing wines as well. Can you guys mention a few? And she mentions Roberto Olivan from Tentenublo in Rioja Alavesa. Do you know it, Zoltan?
No, I don't know this guy. Who I know is Javier San Pedro, who is doing very interesting thing in La Guardia. And this guy now, including some Grenache, which I know here is somebody called Grenache Gang. And I love that because I'm a Grenache lover too. So this young guy, which he was working his father's vineyard, now he got independent, he built up a winery, and he's that young man who want to start doing very good stuff. So Javier San Pedro is one of those young generation, which I think we all should follow.
And I'll add to that oh, sorry.
No, I just wanted to like clarify that, Ariana. So are we saying, is he from Baja or Alavesa? And are we saying that besides him being young,
the guy is from Alavesa? Yes,
is in Alavesa. Okay.
Yeah.
And the winemaker that Michi, the commentator, or the question asker, mentioned is also in the Alavesa. And it's good to note also, I mean, I know like we've been focused on the DO component of the conversation, but a lot of these smaller and up and coming producers can't kind of bridge the gap with a lot of the new opportunities and the new classification system in terms of like the time consuming nature of it, the requirement to like own or long-term rent vineyards, the fact that if you make a village wine or like it's called Vino de Municipio, which is Rioja's new equivalent to like Vida Vila in Priorat, or like the Bierzo requirements, that if you're making a wine from a certain village, that the winery has to be in the village. And so that doesn't square with a lot of like the younger, scrappier farmers and the way that they kind of like divide up their work in the vines as balanced with their investment in their wineries. Like not everyone can just relocate or build a new winery, you know? So there are all kinds of complicated lines that get drawn with progress, you know? And while there's a lot of opportunity for certain parts of the Rioja winemaking community, a lot of the action will be found in these, like the two producers we've talked about who are kind of scrappy and doing it on their own, you know? So it's cool to always like go outside the lines.
why do you think that most consumers, when you hear Spain, I'm sure whether it's Kilo at the store, Jermaine from his experience auctioning, I'm sure everything that you saw, if it came from Spain, it was from Rioja. So why do you think today's consumer think of Spanish wine synonymous with Rioja? Like, it's very hard to get them to think of any other region. They just think whether it's good or bad, you know, and I guess you can add that to your opinion and commentate. But it's hard for people to think of Spanish wine and have any other idea of red wines, for the sake of this, and really think outside of Rioja. And so is it just, they just got great marketing? You know, I know the history, and just for 5 seconds to say that the connection when it comes to Bordeaux, the train stop that's in Haro, which, you know, allowed it to travel literally, you know, by train. So they were able to get further. And then also there's the Bay of Biscay, not too far away. So when it was trading with countries in the north, like England, it was easier, had easier access. So that was back when that was like needed, you know, when there was no social media, right? But why do we think today's consumer think the same way, as Spain being equivalent to Spanish reds being equivalent to Rioja, or even Tempranillo for that matter?
Jermaine, you want to go first? You want me to go?
I think, you know, yeah, because I think it's the aging ability of the wines. You know, they've had time to plant some roots in there, you know, and then there's the variety for the price point. I think that also really stands out. And yeah, I think mainly the aging ability. That's the first thing that jumps out for me.
And that's as an auctioneer. So you feel like people will spend this amount of money on auction for Rioja compared to another Spanish red for this reason, because the normal consumer don't know the ageability of Rioja.
Right. Yeah.
So in this case,
exactly.
Yeah. So in this case, you would think this. What do you recall, like your highest price point you've seen a Rioja go for on auction?
I mean, I can tell you this: the average bottle price for live auctions is $1,000 a bottle. So you know, and a lot, I'd say Rioja is maybe like $4,000 or $5,000. I've seen some go for those prices. But mostly, like when I see those things come through, I see them come through in like mixed lots and that sort of thing. So the price varies. I wouldn't say every single thing that pops in the auctions at that price. And also you can get a ton of great values at internet auctions. So don't get me wrong, they don't all go at that price, but yeah, definitely well up in the tens of thousands.
Right. Kilo, I don't know if anybody's auctioning off in your store, but
well,
nah, they not.
Do I hear five?
I may have an Instagram video with me auctioning something. No, I'm just joking.
I'd be there.
We need to see you on stage, Kilolo. That needs to happen.
On what?
The auction stage.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Kilolo would be a great auctioneer.
I mean, I don't know if I can rival you. So you know, Jermaine and I have been in the same.
We'll be a duo.
All right, I'll be up there with you. I will do that. I will do that. I worked in auction for a second. I interviewed with one auction house twice. I ended up at one auction house for a second in New York, and it was a great experience for the second that it was. But I'm agreeing with Jermaine on both. Not only just the auction side, but also the retail side, because in retail, depending on what store you have, what your experience is, you are dealing with sellers. You're dealing with a high level of clientele that are looking for something that has ageability, that are looking for clout, that's looking for to say, look, I have this area, this region that you're not drinking, that I think you should be put onto, that is going to make that person be known for that, and at a better price point than the already established, very expensive regions. So I think ageability, I think price point, but I think also it's about the grape. You know, a lot of times, especially in retail, and I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but people come up to me more often than not talking about the region, but talking about the grape. So most of the time I don't hear, can I get a Rioja? I get, do you have any Tempranillo?
I never got that. That's crazy.
It's always, do you have any Tempranillo? And I feel it's an obligation to educate people about the locations where the Tempranillo is growing. And then saying, okay, I have Tempranillo from here, and from here. So as a retailer, as an educator, it is my job to explain that we're dealing with agriculture, that we're dealing with crops, that we're dealing with the environment. But the demand is about the grape, and that grape is Tempranillo, and therefore Rioja, or as well as what you were saying before, Cha, about the transportation ability, making up the word, of the region, you know, the access to it, making it, which made Tempranillo the grape to us, to the place that it's exported out to, not to the region that it's naturally grown in. So I think that that's really what's driven Rioja to be that spot. And because of its quality, because of what it is, because of the diversity of Tempranillo, the diversity of the winemaking styles, and the fact that it's not just red, it's rosé, it's white, and now it's also sparkling, which I still haven't had, which I'm dying to try. But anyway, is it because of that diversity that's there, it's been able to be the region that is staying on top and marketing.
You know, I think that it's funny because my time in the shop has always been people come right in and ask for a Rioja. And then when I ask them white, red, or rosé, they're like, They don't even know that it comes in. They think that it's like one and the same. And that was my, thought when I wrote this question. It's because of, just being in Harlem. And over the years, everyone's just asking for this as its one thing. Like, oh, it's only this red wine. And so,
but that's the public and that's the funniest part about New York, because New York is a very educated consumer. So depending on what area you're in New York, they could be educated on this region, but not educated on this region where I'm at.
Okay.
So someone could
clearly they lack the education to know that it comes in different ways, and then also that it's a grape. They don't even know the grape. They think it's a grape. Like when they ask for Pinot Noir, they like, oh, maybe I'll have a Rioja. Like they just think it's synonymous, the way that the French do with, let me just have a Bordeaux. And then if you ask somebody, do you want Bordeaux red or white? They're like, it's like mind-blowing emoji happens. Like, what do you mean Bordeaux white? They didn't even understand that happens. So there is this lack of education because now it's been so synonymous with this one style, this one way, that now our jobs as we sell is about, no, there is variety, at least even if it's small amount. 90% of it is red coming from Rioja, but we sold both white Riojas as well. And so, it was just kind of like, how did this happen? Maybe it's just steeped in tradition. Or is there any way that we can combat like getting people to know more about these other?
Well, I think just to say one last thing, I think it's tradition. I think tradition of brand is extremely important in terms of not only the wine business, but just how we purchase and buy in general. And a brand, Merlot by itself is a brand, Tempranillo by itself is a brand, Rioja by itself is a brand, but without Tempranillo, there's no Rioja. But we don't sell them in that way or market them in that way because we understand that it's better for us to market them separate, because that's double the facing. Why would we separate them out? I mean, why would we combine them? We don't want to combine them, one, because it's confusing to combine the region and the grape to sell different. See, now I'm getting a little complicated in my own mind. Let me stop. Because I'll
I hear what you're
we'll
saying.
be talking for 3 hours. But I
have 2 more questions for anybody who's still with us here live, and then we'll wrap up. So this one question is kind of like controversial, and is back to this tradition and history, and it's really your opinion. In the 2nd century, the Roman troops entered Rioja, and they supposedly, they planted vines in Logroño. And there's this thought that they brought the vines with them when they continued to move north. And if you all understand that north of this region is basically France. And so then they brought vines of some plantings from one of the 7 grapes that are in Rioja now to Bordeaux. And so some people like to think of Rioja as actually the ancestor to present day Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc. Is anybody want to say yes to that or no to that, or have any thoughts at all? Or this is maybe brand new, no one's heard of this theory?
don't know about this theory.
Does it sound crazy?
It doesn't sound crazy because it's like Johnny Appleseed. The reason why there are apples across this country is because homeboy was obsessed with them and was like, I'm gonna go from New York to San Diego and just continue to they're different hybrids, they're different mutations, they're 2 different species of vine. There's Vitis lambrusca, there's Vitis vinifera. I mean, but I'm not gonna touch it because I haven't heard about it. Doesn't sound far-fetched though.
Doesn't sound far-fetched. Okay.
No.
Anybody else want to say this is impossible? There's no way. Cabernet Franc was before this time. Anything else, Zoltan, from your learnings, or Philippe, just learning about Tempranillo in general? Does this make sense? And they're not stating that it's Tempranillo, so let me clarify that. Sorry for mentioning the grape, but they just saying that the plantings from whatever the name the grape was originally started in Rioja, and it was the Romans who moved it north. And that's how, it's the birth of Cabernet, and so.
What I want to say to try to help you and to forget about this, of course, the history is there and it's true. Phylloxera arrived to France, right? And they have to move south. They came to Spain because it was very near, very close.
That's after. We're talking about the original planting. So this is before Phylloxera. This is 2nd century.
Okay, then I don't know that.
I mean, Tempranillo is the offspring of 2 grapes from northern Spain, and I think its lineage is separate from the lineage of the Bordeaux varieties. But that doesn't answer. Like, they were moving different grapes around. The Romans were moving different grapes around at that time than.
Yeah, it's hard.
We'd be talking about like the predecessors of Tempranillo and Cabernet at that time.
It doesn't have to be Tempranillo. It could be something, one of the other indigenous grapes of Rioja that can move. But I didn't know if this was something that you all thought to be very controversial, or right now it sounds like most people are like, that's possible. There's no controversy. So I just was like, let me ask to see if anybody would challenge that and be like impossible, or, like, oh, I'm on board. I believe this to be true as well. And I think it's also interesting because the way we tell the story about Bordeaux, we never talk about Rioja, but however, every time we talk about Rioja, we always talk about Bordeaux. And so we continue to help with the inflation of Bordeaux.
Right.
And so I'm like, when do other countries have their moment? If anybody's ever listened to me talk about France, you know how I feel about France. But I just really think that, the homage to, French wine, in this case, Bordeaux, it needs to be kind of like, come on now, let's bring it down a notch. It worked in the 80s, but the same kind of aging, the winemaker who went up to Bordeaux, which Zoltan was about to talk about, even Phylloxera happened in France. If it wasn't for Rioja, then there wouldn't be no wine, in this area to serve. So I think there's a lot more to we need to owe Rioja to even for the present day Bordeaux. You heard me say it. I'm not taking it. It's recorded, okay? I haven't given out any money yet. And I think this is the part where everybody's like most anticipating how I'm giving out money to who, why. Zoltan, did I take your money back last time? Or, become rich auntie in every program, and I basically start giving checks out to my participants. So for those of you who are watching this program and haven't seen another episode, you'll see how my my trusty peers spends my money. In this case, we are in Rioja. We are steeped in conversation about diversity within maybe a region where people think is very linear. Tempranillo, red wine, Rioja. These are the three things. And we are kind of breaking apart all of what most consumers may assume. So in this case, I was going to ask another question, but I thought, you know what, let me just push it a little further. If you can choose any grape that's not allowed in Rioja to be planted in Rioja, and I'm giving you all the money that you need, you can get any grape. It doesn't have to be indigenous. Right now, there's some international grapes that's already being planted in Rioja as, you can add as assistance to the vintage. So those grapes are not allowed. But if you can choose any grape anywhere, but you have to bring it to Rioja, you have to tell me, where are you planting it? What style is it going to be in? Please pick a red, Reserva, Grand Reserva, etc., Crianza, and then tell me why you chose that grape. So this is the money time, okay? So
red grape.
Let's stick to red since we've been talking heavy about red. So pick a red grape. Tell me which one of the three subregions, and let me know where I should be writing you a check to.
Well, I can start, and you already know my answer.
I don't know your answer, and this is crazy. How you started first? Go ahead, Philippe. I'm ready. You've been thinking about this.
You know my answer. We spoke about diversity. We spoke about red wines, but there's so much more in Rioja than red wines. There's some nice white wines, some Viura, and there's something that Kilolo mentioned before, and I was very interested to taste because I haven't tasted yet also. There's something called the Espumoso de Rioja, which is a sparkling wine, a wine made from Viura and Malvasia, a sparkling wine from, and this winemaker that I mentioned, Muga, he also makes sparkling wine in Alta, in Rioja Alta. So my money would go all for Rioja Alta to make some sparkling wine, and with a red grape, Baga, it would be a Blanc of Noir. Ooh. So all my money would go for the Portuguese grape in Rioja. That's why I mentioned that you already knew my answer, sparkling and Baga. That's my middle name. So that's it. Show me the money.
Philippe, no. The amount of money I'm spending on you for Baga is insane. There's no way you can believe in this grape and you have so much passion for Baga. I don't know. I'm gonna challenge that because you know why? It's because now I'm thinking, would Baga do well in Rioja Alta, right? So what are the constraints that Baga needs? I think it needs to be a little bit closer. You don't think so, to the ocean or to the water that is located? I'm gonna put you on pause. I'm gonna fight giving you money for this Baga, but I like where you're going. Sparkling wine. Are we gonna keep it vinified? Or are we gonna do a Blanc de Noir? So we're gonna have a vinified white.
Traditional way, the classic method in Rioja Alta.
All right. Oh gosh. Anybody else? And please don't tell me another grape in Portugal. I may die.
So, I mean, I'm talking. I thought I was talking to myself.
Right now, that 1994 getting to you.
It's a good time over here in Crown Heights. So The first grape I thought of was Syrah.
Okay.
And then I was like, no. And then I all of a sudden you started talking about Baga, and I got amped, like super amped. And I said, ooh, Listan Negro.
All right, tell us about the grape. Tell us where it's going. And since Philippe make a sparkling, there's no Reserva level, I think, at this. So tell us, what do we know?
Oh, I can't do a sparkling too. I can't do a sparkling red, like a rosé.
Oh, you want to do a rosé, or you want like a Lambrusco?
Oh, no, I want a rosé.
Okay.
I want a rosé.
We have Lista Negra.
So Lista Negro. So, sorry, it's not Portuguese. Sorry, I'm really losing it. It's a Canary. It's a grape in the Canary Islands. Sorry. So it's like, wait a minute, but I got excited about Baga. Sorry, I'm on the Baga train. But
God.
I like Baga. I think Baga is great.
I love Baga as well. I
sell it.
Baga rocks.
Lista Negro rosé.
Okay.
And I know it's supposed to be red. It's a red grape, so I didn't break the rules too hard.
No,
but I love rosé from Rioja.
Viña Tondonia, you like rosé from Viña Tondonia?
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about how it's now $100 and I literally paid $25 for it 7 years ago. I don't want to talk about that.
It's funny because I was about to say I never had it. Actually, I lied. I had it when I was there, but I never had it. I see it here, but I think I can't afford it. So that's probably why I never.
I had a 6-pack of it, and in 2009, did I buy a 6-pack? 2010, I bought a 6-pack when it was affordable. And then a year later, there was no more left, and then they re-released. I mean, I can't talk about that wine. I can't talk about that wine. It's beautiful, but I'm not paying $100 for it. No.
Someone should, but I can't.
Yeah, I'm not.
Anybody else? Who's next? Where I'm spending my money. So now I got 2 sparklings. One's a rosé, one's a Blanc de Noir, one's from Canary Islands. So still in Spanish, still Spanish grape, Spanish.
And I'm in Alta too.
And she's also going to Alta. So come on, somebody else. Give me some diversity. Let's shake this up.
I'm gonna go. See, I wanted to go in Alta though,
Okay.
but I like to do. Just reminds me of like I would do a Shiraz, do something fun. That's about as far as I've gotten so far. I'm like literally here making notes.
So we're going with a Shiraz. We're going to Alta, and how long are we aging? What's the requirements you're going to meet? Or do I need to come back to you? You need to think about that.
No, I think, damn. Nah, yeah, come back to me. Let me think about it for a second. Let me think.
All right. So the idea is that you're thinking about like, I want to keep it young and fresh style, or do you want to make it more ageable? So
it's not like young. I want to go young and fresh, but at the same time, I feel like I respect the whole, like if I'm, I obviously import this into the US, and I think that I want to represent the classic style, you know, like I want to represent where it's from. I'm speaking to a whole new demographic of people that weren't thinking about wine before. So if I tell you, like, I'm bringing you some Rioja, this is classic Rioja. So I'm going to go Grand Reserva.
Grand Reserva, Shiraz from Rioja Alta.
Yep. Right. Wow, I know. It's all over the place.
No, let's I think it can work. I mean, I don't think there's any issue with that for sure. Especially with is right now it's all about soil, right? So where is really about where you want to go, because the soil changes based on, if you're in Alta Alavesa, and then the context to Bay of Biscay versus me and Ariana's beautiful trip to the Mediterranean. So I think that it depends on what influence you want as well. So it's totally up to you. And we know Shiraz does well in South Africa, so it can work. Ariana, I'll give you my money. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I was about to say, am I getting the money or not?
If I get the money,
like the money was coming my way. Like
I felt like I'll give you some money. You got that one. I'll fund you. Ariana and Zoltan, what's up?
I'm putting a little twist on it because I was also thinking how cool it would be to do like rosé, sparkling rosé, kind of push that. If they're going to open up that door, they don't need any help with the reds, right? They kind of got that down. But just to make it interesting, I'm going thinking climate change, thinking global warming, thinking that Rioja, especially Rioja, Baja area or Oriental, is great for Grenache, and that Grenache is probably going to become more important in the other parts as well. So, but it's all obviously allowed. But what about Grenache Gris? Let's go Grenache Gris you can blend it into reds, you can make it into rosé, you can direct press it, but it's not a white grape.
Guys are not
so
making
these
this
two rosés, I'm going rosé grape made into a red.
Feeling her. Why you poo-pooing this idea?
All right. Okay. This sparkling, I don't know why.
I love sparkling too.
Philippe, the new rule is you go last, okay? for all the future United We Taste, you will now go last. You put the sparkling
I was
bug.
actually thinking sparkling like at first, and then everybody started saying sparkling, so I switched. But yeah,
you must don't know Philippe.
But you were thinking it.
Look, let me reintroduce you. Jermaine meet Philippe. Philippe meet Jermaine. The only thing on Philippe brain is sparkling wine, number one. And two, because he is from the home of Baga, then it's actually, that's the only two things he think about. Sparkling wine and Baga. It's like, we got to break them apart. It's something.
I'm with him on the sparkling though. That's my first. That's my first.
Don't get me wrong. I love to try a lot of different wines. I'm just very keen about my region and about Bag. It's really something.
United We Taste Rioja from Baga.
Woo!
Zoltan, please, Zoltan.
Yeah, you know, in Rioja Oriental and I'm a fan of Grenache again here now with Ariana, and she's something very right because Oriental or the old Baja, what calls the name of this part of Rioja, is the most Mediterranean, right? And it's the same windy too, so it's nice. And what I love, a hairy Grenache. You know this Grenache which has a hair.
Peluda.
Peluda, yeah. In Spanish, it's
peluda.
peluda. And I think will be fit there because I'm not sure if you're familiar. Álvaro Palacios has a family and he owns vineyards in Alfaro, and this is in Rioja Oriental. And you know, Mediterranean, same as Priorat, and I think Grenache will fit there very good. And what I would love is to make a can wine, you know, for party, for pool, for people just open and drink and lunchtime, you know, something very fast. I think I can win some money on that and help all of us came all together and open, you know, your collections.
Zoltan, did you see Cha's face? She was so with you, and then she was like, "What? Can?"
It's so fun to watch Cha's face, like the eyebrow.
Why not?
He has the money until he said can't. He
I
has
know,
the
right?
money.
Yes.
Clearly,
Until he said can.
Yes, he can.
He had the money until he said can't. I think this is going to be the one episode that I'm like taking money back from folks. I ain't taking my money back.
Philippe is going to get fined.
Because none of this, I don't see it all the way through. Some of these projects, I'm like, I'm not seeing the vision. I just want to be honest. So we got a can wine coming from Rioja. Now, what the hell? Now I'm sure Rioja.
She said, "What the hell?"
I don't know if Rioja. I don't think they would ever put a sticker on the back of a can. Let's be real, right? So the can joint, we probably may never see a can come out of Rioja by the
Next year because of this.
You never know. You never know.
Is it a real thing? Is it
It's
such
gonna
a
happen.
Well, no, Artadi has a can company, but they're out of the appellation.
It's gonna happen.
It is going to happen. Real
It's
has
gonna
smart
happen.
like that.
So now
Sure.
we got a canned wine
It's
coming
happening.
from Baja, and we're using a hairy version of Grenache. There's a whole
Hell
lot
yeah.
going on. You know, I mean, you guys all took me for a spin. I think.
I mean, I used a Spanish red grape and put it in a different region in Spain.
did what you're supposed to do. I guess that's fully thought out. I appreciate it.
I'm
Can
just
I
saying.
add my pink grape to Zoltan's can? And we like Garnacha Peluda and green.
Look, this is how
Yes.
you know the episode is ending, okay? I feel like I want to take all my money back. I don't want to know if I want to fund. I'm supposed to be the VC. Aren't you supposed to like get me to feel like, yeah, I want to invest in you? Y'all have not made me convinced. I feel like this is.
Well, what's your idea?
I don't know. I really I think, to be honest, it's because this, based off of the perfume, I was getting really inspired by the idea of having something that was pronounced, that was red, and also did really well with the calcareous soil, or irony soil that's in the south. So I was trying to debate on where, but I really thought even a Carmenere, and then a grape that don't really move too much, that don't do well, but I don't know. Maybe I'm going a little crazy here, but I thought of a Pinotage, and that was because of the notes that I got on this Rioja. I would thought it almost smelled like if someone blended the two. I can actually smell notes that if I was blind tasted, I would have thought, oh, this must be Carmenere. And then also when I tasted it, tastes very Pinotage-y. And so I said, oh, this may be a nice way to bring something new in here. Is like, let's take advantage of what Riojas could possibly taste like with less oak, without oak being so much the influence. What does a Rioja taste like in cement? What does it taste like? So that's what we have not, we don't get to taste that because they all have this oak aging requirement. So I will stick to the Hoven and just kind of switch it up, use a different vessel. And really just these other two grapes made me think of the one that I'm having right now. So I'm going to keep it there. I'm not going to go any further. I will invest in everyone because that's the Oprah way of life, right? Abundance. So I'll keep putting that.
We all get a car.
You all get a car. That's how I started. You get you get a grape, you get a grape, you get a, so everybody got a grape. And thank you all for joining. For those of you who stuck around this long, I appreciate you guys for sharing your knowledge and opinions and thoughts about Rioja and the wines. I hope sounds like you all enjoyed the wines that we sent out. And yeah, let me top up for a little cheers moment.
Let's go for the toast.
Let's go for a toast.
For the picture.
Great to be with you all.
Yes,
good
one
to see
day in
everyone.
person.
Here we
And
go.
meet everyone.
3, 2, 1.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.